And why did his work cause so much debate?
Hello,
And
how
what
are
will
you?
happen to that 170,000 Bitcoin the US stole from Ross? Let's take a look at the full story and see what could happen next. Ross Albright was born in Austin, Texas. He was a pretty smart guy who studied physics at the University of Texas at Dallas. Ross believed strongly in freedom and thought people should be able to trade goods without the government getting in the way. In February of 2011, he made his dream come true by starting Silk Road, which is an online marketplace. Silk Road wasn't just a regular website, it was a place where people could buy and sell things using Bitcoin. It was one of the first digital free markets to ever exist. Bitcoin allowed users to trade anonymously, making Silk Road a unique and private platform. People from all over the world started using it, and it quickly grew into something huge. Almost a million people used it to trade items with sales worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It showed how technology like Bitcoin could give people more control over their money and privacy. But not everyone liked this. Governments and police
Should future prequels embrace the debate over the 1960s aesthetic extends to the question of how future Star Trek prequels should approach their visual design. Should they strive for authenticity to TOS, or should they continue the trend of modernization? Arguments for modernization. Cohesion. Across series, updated designs are more likely to resonate with younger viewers who may be unfamiliar with TOS. Practicality. Modern production techniques allow for more telling. Arguments for retaining the 1960s. Look honoring the original vision. Keeping the 1960s aesthetic acknowledges the foundational role of TOS in shaping Star Trek. Unique identity. The retro design sets TOS apart from other science fiction franchises and even from designs. Why some fans want the 1960s look as canon. Canon.
This is a live of my time on playing on the computer, making a video. You get to watch me do a video. Leave some comments of how you enjoy what you see so far. Creating a video for you.
Want the 1960s look as canon. Look look honoring the original vision. Keeping the 1960s aesthetic acknowledges the foundational role of TOS in shaping Star Trek. Unique identity. The retro design sets TOS apart from other science fiction franchises and even question of how future Star Trek prequels should approach their visual design. Should they strive for authenticity to TOS, or should they continue the trend of modernization? Arguments for modernization. Cohesion. Across series. Modernizing the organization.
certainly didn't like the idea of people trading without their approval, especially when some items being sold were illegal. Some people said Silk Road was just a platform for bad things, but others believed it showed how people could have more freedom in trading. It also started big discussions about how governments control online activities and money. So Ross Albright managed Silk Road under the fake name Dread Pirate Roberts. He believed in creating a space where people can make their own choices. Ross wasn't in it to get rich. He wanted to build a better world through freedom tech. But many stories about him in the news focused only on the negative, which isn't surprising. They're completely ignoring his core ideas about freedom and tech. In 2011, a website called Gawker wrote about Silk Road. Now, this caught the attention of the government and made Ross the target in their sights. Over the next 2 years, police worked hard to track down who was behind the site. But in October 2013, Ross was arrested in a library in San Francisco. The police running Silk Road and labeled him a criminal mastermind.
Cohesion.
There were 3 arresting officers. 2 pretended to have an argument near him to distract him, and the third then put a USB stick into his laptop to copy some of the most important files over into their possession. This arrest started a big legal battle. It made many people question whether Ross's punishment was fair and if the government was being too harsh. In 2015, Ross went to trial. Many people felt the trial wasn't fair. Some evidence was unclear, and Ross's intentions were misunderstood. In the end, Ross was found guilty of several crimes and ultimately sentenced to life in prison without a chance of getting out, without parole. Many thought this punishment was way too extreme, and some of the officers involved were found to be lying to steal some of the Bitcoin, which is where some of the hitman allegations that were put on Ross become a
Updated designs are more likely to resonate with younger viewers who may be unfamiliar with TOS. Practicality. Modern production techniques allow for more dynamic and versatile sets, enabling better storytelling. Arguments for retaining the 1960s. Look honoring the original vision. Keeping the 1960s aesthetic acknowledges the foundational role of TOS in shaping Star Trek. Unique identity. The retro design sets TOS apart from other science fiction franchises and even from later Star Trek series. Fan nostalgia. Longtime fans appreciate the charm and distinctiveness.
Come on.
He ended up being sentenced to life in prison, and Ross's case became a symbol for people who believe in justice and freedom. It shows how much power the government has and made people think about how it's being abused. Ross's sentence led to a worldwide movement to free him. His family and supporters worked hard to show that his punishment wasn't fair. The Free Ross campaign of signatures and support from many famous people. This movement wasn't just Ross. It was about fighting for freedom against the unfair treatment by the government, which we see all across the world today. After years of hard work by his supporters, Ross's story took a hopeful turn. On January 21st, 2025, President Donald Trump gave Ross a full pardon after 11 years in prison. Ross is free. This is a big win for Ross, his family, and everyone who believes in the power of second chances. Now it's given a green light to freedom tech developers to bring freedom back to the people. But there is still one major thing that's currently unanswered with the situation, and that's what will happen to the 173,991 Bitcoin that the Department of Justice seized from Ross back when they arrested him. At the time, it was worth $34 million, but today, that is worth over 18 billion. Will they give it back, or will that be the start of the strategic Bitcoin reserve? Who knows? But if Ross has been pardoned, it should be given back to him, obviously. And I don't think we've seen the last of this issue yet. Maybe it will end up as one of the biggest legal battles in history. Also, maybe that's why Donald Trump pardoned him, so he could use that as their Bitcoin reserve fund. Let the conspiracies begin. But Ross Albright's story is about never giving up. It's a reminder that standing up for freedom and innovation can make a difference, even when things seem like they're not going the right way. Now that Ross is free, his story inspires us to think about how we can build a future where everyone has the freedom to choose. What do you think will happen to Ross's seized Bitcoin? That's a question that we all need an answer to.
Star Trek, and one of the reasons it's endured for so many years and so many forms is that it appeals to different segments of the audience for various reasons. Lots of fans look to Star Trek for escapism. They enjoy imagining themselves living in the fictional world of the story, which I get. It's not the main draw for me, but it's certainly understandable. Who wouldn't want to live in the utopian future depicted in Star Trek? But that raises another question. Star Trek has been around since the 1960s. Hundreds of hours of television and movies have been produced, and those movies and TV shows don't all take place in the same time frame. That being the case, whenever someone says they wish they lived in the world of Star Trek, the next thing I want to ask them is...
For many fans, the 1960s aesthetic represents the heart of Star Trek. It's a reminder of the optimism, creativity, and vision of the franchise's early days. The bright colors and minimalist set future, where humanity has overcome its struggles to explore the stars. These fans argue that the 1960s look is more than just a design choice. It's a symbol of what Star Trek stands for. By keeping the aesthetic as canon, the franchise stays true to its roots and preserves its unique identity. Conclusion: nostalgia or modernity? Nostalgia or modernity? The debate over the 1960s look of Star Trek ultimately comes down to a choice. Minimalist sets reflect nostalgia. The franchise stays true to its roots and preserves its unique identity. Conclusion: nostalgia preserves its unique identity. The design ensures the franchise remains accessible and relevant, while the retro aesthetic a special place in the heart's unique identity. while the retro aesthetic is accessible and relevant to new audiences. So, what do you think? Should the 1960s look of Star Trek be canon, representing how the universe appeared in the 23rd century? Or should it be left as a product of its time with future prequels embracing a more
Stop humming.
thick as can?
Stop humming.
Which Star Trek era would you actually want to live in? For the purposes of this video, I'm going to mostly limit my considerations to eras that we see depicted on screen. Star Trek takes place across a total time span of 1,000 years, but we only really see intervals of a few decades across a few centuries. Even eras that are the settings of multiple films or multiple series require a lot of inference and supposition in order to form an impression of what it might be like to live there, since Star Trek is a sci-fi adventure series and not a documentary about life in the future, despite the fact that some fans have somehow gotten that impression. And therefore, the picture we get of the time period in which each show or movie is set is only as complete as the story demands. The earliest fictional era that we see a little bit of, and here described a little bit more, is the early to mid 21st century. I'm going to go ahead and disqualify this era from consideration for two reasons. First, judging by what we see of this era from the film Star Trek First Contact and learn of it secondhand through dialogue in several other Star Trek shows, including Star Trek the Original Series, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, it seems to be defined by economic and environmental disaster and multiple global conflicts culminating in a devastating nuclear exchange that destroys much of human civilization and results in tens of millions of deaths. So it doesn't seem like a very nice time to live. And second, depending on your age when you're watching this, most of you are going to get to live through it. Or part of it, at least. And judging by the way things are going, it's not going to be all that different from Star Trek. Nobody's going to invent warp drive, and no Vulcans are coming to rescue us at the end. But other than that, I'd say we're on track. Way to go, everybody! But for this exercise, let's stick to optimistic fantasy rather than inescapable nightmarish reality. The closest future era that none of us will actually live to see that is depicted in a Star Trek show is the mid-22nd century. This is the setting of Enterprise, the sixth Star Trek television series produced, but the earliest in terms of time period. The first season of Enterprise takes place in the year 2151. By that point, so far as we can tell from the show, things on Earth seem pretty good. There's a global government, world peace. The utopian Star Trek future has more or less taken shape. Details on how the economy actually works at this point are scarce, but we're told that poverty, hunger, and disease are no longer serious concerns. Plus, this is the era when humanity launches its first starships capable of long-range interstellar exploration. Alliances with other worlds are formed. The foundation for what will eventually become the United Federation of Planets is laid. This era has a lot going for it. There are some drawbacks. In 2153, some aliens show up with a giant death ray and sap a 4,000-kilometer path from Florida to Venezuela, killing 7 million people. I'm sure that wasn't fun, especially if you lived along that path of destruction. But you know what? Florida is best avoided in any era of imaginary future history, if you ask me. Earth and the Klingons make first contact with each other, and they really get off on the wrong foot. Right away, it's clear these two groups are just not going to get along. Also, at some point during this era, there is a multi-year war between between Earth and the Romulans. We've never actually seen it on screen, much to the consternation of certain members of the fan base, but you know, it's an interplanetary war, so I'm assuming it's no Sunday school orgy. After the mid-22nd century, we skip ahead about another 100 years or so and come to one of the major settings of the franchise, the mid-23rd century. So far, 4 Star Trek series have taken place during this era. Star Trek the original series and its follow-up, Star Trek the animated series, during the 2260s, and the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery and its spin-off, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a few years before that in the 2250s. We see very little of Earth during this era, but from what we hear, things are going pretty well. Still peaceful, still unified, prejudice and intolerance and violence still relics of the past, so much so that whenever some judgy alien shows up and starts giving humans a hard time about being savage and primitive, Captain Kirk just throws it right back, like, nuh-uh, not anymore. It's an era of expansion, humans playing a leading role in the Federation, building impressive space stations like Starbase One, spreading out into the galaxy to establish colonies. It's an age of optimism, prosperity, and thrilling exploration and discovery. Unless you're serving aboard a Starfleet ship and facing torture and death on a regular, let's say, weekly basis, it seems like an exciting and relatively safe time to live. But don't make your time travel plans quite yet. There's a war between the Federation and the Klingons that doesn't last super long, but gets pretty nasty before it's over. There's an incident where Control, the AI Starfleet's been using for threat assessment, becomes self-aware and tries to wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy, which all works out okay, ultimately, but still, bit of a nail-biter. There's another war between the Federation and the Klingons that only lasts like a day before some godlike aliens step in and force everyone to knock it off. And after a century of isolationism following their war with Earth, the Romulans start fucking shit up again. If the mid-23rd century sounds attractive but a little too eventful for you, might I recommend a couple of options. First, we have an alternative mid-23rd century over in the Kelvin timeline, as seen in the 2009 Star Trek film and its sequels, Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond. Aside from the occasional act of terrorism, the odd starship crashing into a city, and the complete destruction of planet Vulcan along with most of its billions of inhabitants, it seems alright. Earth looks nice. Or, if you'd rather stay in the prime timeline, how about skipping a few years ahead to the late 23rd century, the 2280s and 90s, as shown in the films centered on the original Star Trek cast, beginning with Star Trek The Motion Picture and continuing through Star Trek VI. It's a crisis-filled era, but each crisis is resolved relatively quickly with little to no lasting damage. V'ger, a gigantic cloud-shrouded spaceship that travels to Earth and threatens to exterminate humanity, zapping a couple of Klingon ships and a space station out of existence along the way, just kind of leaves after finally getting laid. Khan, a genetically engineered supervillain, briefly gets his hands on a potential weapon of mass destruction, but he just ends up blowing himself up and creating a new planet, which subsequently blows itself up. So nothing for the average citizen to worry about there. A gigantic probe that speaks in whale song randomly shows up to Earth and wrecks shop for a few hours, but then it leaves and things go back to normal. And a Klingon moon explodes. The Klingons are all like, hey, let's be friends, to the Federation, but then their chancellor gets assassinated, and it looks like we might be going to war again. But then that all gets resolved peacefully, and the most noticeable consequence that comes out of it is us humans having to get over the reflexive hatred of Klingons we've clung to as a species for over a century at this point, which is presumably no problem for people native to this era, what with how enlightened and evolved they are, but might present an issue for some of us planning to relocate to this era, because we sure do love our entrenched prejudices. When you ponder which time period of Star Trek history in which you'd like to live, do you prefer an epoch of mystery and possibility? If so, have I got an era for you, the Lost Era. This is the period that stretches from the end of Star Trek VI to the beginning of Star Trek The Next Generation, which is around 70 years. It seems fine? I guess. That's the thing, because no Star Trek project has ever used it as a primary setting, and it's only occasionally even been referred to, we don't know much about it at all. It might be a time of peace and scientific and social progress unequaled in all of history. Or it might be a time of war and disaster where death lurks around every corner and the common people of the galaxy live their lives in a constant state of existential fear. Or, somewhere in the middle. Here's the most important thing to keep in mind before you jump in your reality-hopping time machine and set course for the late 23rd to early to mid 24th century of the fictional Star Trek future. If they keep making new Star Trek, and especially if the current trend of backward-looking, nostalgia-obsessed franchise production continues for a while, it's only a matter of time before the creators of that new Star Trek decide to start setting stuff in the Lost Era, and who the hell knows what they're going to come up with. The Gorn might conquer the Tellarites and open an interstellar chain of pork barbecue restaurants. The Orion Syndicate might blow up Venus. Do you ever hear people talking about Venus on TNG or Deep Space Nine? That explains it. Reportedly, the upcoming Star Trek Section 31 movie, which is scheduled to be released on Paramount Plus 2 days after this video is released on YouTube, is set sometime during the Lost Era. But I ain't seen it yet, so I have no idea if it's going to make the Lost Era look like a hell of a time to be alive or a living hell. After the Lost Era comes the era that is the exact opposite of Lost, by far the most extensively and consistently represented time period of Star Trek history, the mid-24th century, beginning in the 2360s, which is the primary setting of Star Trek The Next Generation, and the two series that followed it, Deep Space Nine and Voyager, plus the 4 TNG-centered films. I bet for a lot of you, this is the era you'd pick, isn't it? When Trekkies, especially around my age, daydream about the utopian future of Star Trek, replicators, ubiquitous site-to-site teleportation, and all the wonders of fully automated luxury space communism, they're thinking of the world depicted in the shows set during this era. And usually they're specifically thinking of TNG, which is only natural. TNG is Star Trek at its most reassuring and optimistic. Earth, the most important world in the United Federation of Planets, continues to be peaceful and unified. The moneyless economy is in full operation. Work is no longer a necessity for survival, but something people choose as a way of improving themselves and their society. Humanity continues to spread out across the galaxy, colonizing new worlds. Starfleet, with humanity seemingly accounting for most of its personnel, continues to carry out its diplomatic and scientific missions. Food comes out of voice-operated magic holes in the wall. We do hear tell of a couple of wars and other lesser-armed conflicts between the Federation and, say, the Cardassians, the Talarians, the Zenkethi. That one's brought up once or twice in episodes of Deep Space Nine, but same era. But those all take place off-screen and are already over by the time we hear them mentioned. And come on, wars happening in other places that we don't have to see or think very much about, we love those. In other words, life is pretty goddamn good in the 24th century. For humans, anyway. I'm guessing the audience for this video is mostly humans. So why wouldn't you want to live in this era of Star Trek? There are actually lots of reasons why you shouldn't want to live in this era of Star Trek. Remember, you'd be living there, not watching it on TV. You wouldn't be the main character. You'd be you, an anonymous nobody at the mercy of events occurring at scales so large you can barely hope to comprehend them, let alone affect them. Some of those events might be pretty scary. For example, the attempted invasion of the Borg. One big-ass cube from an alien species most people in the Federation had probably only just heard of, destroying an entire fleet of ships, almost succeeding at conquering Earth. That might get you wishing you'd settled in a different temporal neighborhood, huh? Let's not forget the Klingon Civil War. It doesn't last long, and the Federation's involvement in it is minimal, but it still seems like it would shake up the whole peaceful utopia vibe this era's got going on otherwise. Plus, Plus, there's the second attempted Borg invasion that happens like 5 years after the first one. And then, once you've lived through the TNG years and entered the period where all major events suddenly revolve around some space station halfway across the galaxy called Deep Space Nine, shit really starts to go sideways. First, Starfleet and other Federation institutions are infiltrated by evil shapeshifters from the far end of the galaxy. At one point, this results in the end of peaceful relations between the Federation and the Klingons. At another, it leads to a global power outage on Earth and Starfleet briefly taking direct control of the planet from the civilian government, though technically that wasn't shapeshifters, just an evil admiral using the threat of shapeshifters as a pretense to seize power. But what difference would that make to you? An ordinary citizen just trying to get to your shift at the job you voluntarily chose to improve your own life and the lives of all people on Earth. Bridge painting robot repair technician. I sketched out your backstory a little bit, I hope you don't mind. Second, and related to the evil shapeshifter infiltration thing, the biggest war ever happens. The Federation's old enemy, well, newer old enemy, the Cardassians, joined the Dominion. That's the empire ruled by those evil shapeshifters, in case you're somehow watching this video while not already knowing that. And before you can say inter arma enim silent leges, way before you can say that, it always takes me a couple of tries, and I had 2 years of Latin in high school. Outer space has become one great big battlefield. The war never directly reaches Earth or even seems to come very close to it. All the major battles we hear about or see depicted on Deep Space Nine take place in or near Bajoran and Cardassian territory. But at one point, the Dominion captures Beta Z, a Federation world, and positions itself for possible strikes against major Federation planets like Vulcan and Kellar, the original